John. Where's John at? Patmos. Why is he in Patmos? Exile. Why was he exiled? Because?
It's the parents answered everything.
Anyone know? Preaching the gospel. So he's suffering for being a Christian. That's why he's there. He's been exiled, sent away. What is the theme so far? What's been happening in the book of Revelation so far? Persecution. That's what John's writing about mostly, isn't it? Persecution. Church, you're going to suffer. Church, you're going to suffer. Who's he writing to?
Church.
The church, all right? What particular time period is he writing to right now? The church.
Right then.
Then, first century. I'm going to tell you things that must when come to pass. Shortly come to pass. So he's saying, I'm writing you about things that are going to happen soon. Right? Things that are going to happen in your lifetime. You're going to see these things. You're going to witness these things. You're going to behold these things. Alright? So, he goes through, he's telling them, this is what's going to happen, Thyatira. Here's what's going to happen, Pergamos. Here's what's going to happen to you. And he's going to these different congregations. This is what's going to happen to you individually. And then he fast forwards and goes to a scene that's in heaven. Right? What happened in that scene? What did he see?
4 or something.
He saw angels.
4 angels.
Alright. Elders. Alright. He saw angels. He saw elders. What were the elders crying out? You can look. It's in the first 7 chapters.
Yeah, let me see him do that right quick. You're screaming, hallelujah.
Not the elders.
Not yet.
Salvation.
Huh?
Was it salvation?
That comes in the next one. How? What? Starts with an L.
Long.
How long? How long will you allow us to keep being what? Killed. How long will you allow us to keep being killed? How long until you justify? How long until you go back? How long until you destroy the people that did this to us? Right? Is that what they said? Alright. And then you see another vision. You see John. John's looking at the throne room, and what does he hear? Who does he see?
Strong angel.
The Spirit?
No. We're looking at the last chapter. Chapter 7.
That is blue.
Chapter 7. What's John see? All right. He sees multitudes, right? Multitudes. And what are they doing? Them along with the angels and the elders.
Worshiping.
They're singing and praising. And is that loud or quiet?
Loud.
Loud. So you have this loud thundering noise of all people of all times singing with loud voices and praising God. How loud is that? How loud do you think it is? Extremely loud. So as he's ending chapter 7, it's loud praises. Loud, earth-ringing praises. Alright, chapter 8 and verse 1. What does that say?
When he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour.
So we go from sound that would shake the earth to complete silence. You ever had something like that happen?
Yeah, your ears ring like crazy.
Your ears ring like crazy. You ever been in a room where there's loud music going on and you walk into another room?
Or white fan.
Yeah.
What's it like? Describe it.
Still.
Yeah.
Stillness.
Did you? Is there a realization that there's something different about this situation than the one you're in now? Is there a sharp contrast between that room and then this room right here? So here we see all of these loud praises and the singing and the joyousness, and then all of a sudden, gone. That's a pretty distinct change, isn't it? That's a very distinct change. So there is a symbol here of a short pause, a half an hour. Half an hour of complete silence. And I saw an angel which stood before God. Or I saw 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. All right? And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. What's incense? Yeah? What does he compare incense to in the first chapter?
Prayers are the same.
Prayers. So there's no mystery here why he's talking about this. What's he looking for? What's he listening for? What's filling the presence of God?
Prayers.
Prayers. All right. Verse 5. Someone read that for us.
Then the angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and threw it to the earth. And there were noises, thunderings, lightnings, and an earthquake.
All right. Now we're speaking in what kind of language in Revelation?
Literal.
No, not literal. Figurative. Apocalyptic language, right? That's different than regular me saying, hey, there's a tree outside, right? There's a difference in apocalyptic writing and literal writing, isn't there? Does a tree literally sing? No. But does he talk about the trees praising God? Yes. All right, so an angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth, and there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. And the first angel sounded, and there followed what? Hail and fire. Sound familiar? Where'd you hear that before?
A little earlier.
Which book?
I don't remember.
Revelation.
Exodus. There you go. Exodus. Why would you read of fire and hail in Exodus?
Plagues.
The plagues on Pharaoh in Egypt.
Plagues on Pharaoh. What was the message?
Let
To
my
Pharaoh.
people go.
Let my people go. What do you think the message is to Rome?
Quit persecuting my people.
Let my people go. Leave my people alone. All right? So the first angel sounded, and there was hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all of the grass was burnt up. Who's he talking to here? What's he been talking about this whole time? Which country? Rome. So he's going to destroy their land. All right, what's the next verse? Verse 8.
And the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea, and a third of the sea became blood.
All right, so your land, the water. All right, the next one, verse 10.
9.
Oh, sorry, verse 9, go ahead.
And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed.
All right, verse 10.
And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters.
All right, so their land waters, their river, their lakes, their ponds. All right, verse 12.
11.
11 and 12, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise.
Darkness. So darkness, land, rivers, the ocean, their ships. What's about to happen to Rome?
Oh,
Decimated.
Decimated, destroyed. How much of it's going to be remaining?
2/3.
A third? 2/3?
2/3.
Well, eventually. We're talking about complete destruction here. Land, water, rivers. How important would these things be to the nation of Rome?
Yeah, you're talking about the Roman Empire.
Right, the Roman Empire.
Pretty
How
big.
important would that be to them?
Pretty big considering that they're the ones who built all the roads and had the boats. And
Aqueducts
Mhm.
and
What were they known for?
technology.
Technology,
infrastructure.
infrastructure, something else.
Strength.
Strength,
Military,
military. What about that military?
world dominance.
World dominance. What else?
Cruelty.
Something in particular.
Cruelty.
Their immorality, is that where you go?
Their immorality and their size. Think about it. A nation that is huge, okay? Spanning pretty much everything you know, starts losing their military, famine sets in, immorality is rampant, and they no longer can pay or feed their soldiers. What's going to happen to that country? Mutiny? What else?
Someone, their enemies will come.
Every enemy they have says, wait a minute, Rome's hurt. They don't really have a leader. They're out of food. They can't pay their soldiers. What happens?
Furlough.
Everybody, I got an idea. Get your part of Rome.
Fighting.
It's going to be destroyed. All right? So we see trumpets used in 6 different ways. Trumpets are used to assemble the congregation, Numbers 10 and verse 2. They were used to direct movement. They were used to go to war. They were used to rejoice. They were used to announce the beginning of months. And they were also used in the time of offering and sacrifices for a memorial. But a warning trumpet was used to sound an alarm that Jehovah is coming. Right? Jehovah is coming. The days of Jehovah is a day of trumpets and an alarm. Zephaniah 1:14. Seek for safety when a trumpet is blown. Jeremiah. What does that mean? When they blow the trumpet, what's coming? Enemies. Enemies are coming. Seek for safety. Run and hide. So the trumpet here is blown. All right, Matthew 24. Let's go to Matthew 24 for just a moment. Matthew 24, verse 2. Someone get that for us.
And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily say I unto you, verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
And the disciples had a question. What did they ask him?
Tell us when shall these things be?
When shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the age? When is this going to happen? Jesus, when are these stones going to be thrown down? When is the temple going to be destroyed? Who's going to destroy their temple? Who was it?
Rome.
Rome. All right, Rome's going to destroy their temple. All right, fast forward down a little bit, and let's look at verse 28. Actually, let's start in verse 24. This is important. Many people go to Matthew 24, and they start predicting America's going to fight with Russia, and Russia and China, and all of these things are going to start happening. They use Matthew 24 as a proof text that there's going to be a what? Very first lesson.
Tribulation.
Very first lesson. That too, huh?
Armageddon.
A big world war in the Middle East. An apocalypse. They use it to say there's going to be a really evil man that comes and stamps your hand. What they call him?
Antichrist.
All right. So in verse 23, then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise what? false Christ and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive even the elect. He said, behold, what? I told you before. All right? Someone get verses 27 and 28.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even into the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathering together.
All right, they're going to say, right there it says, Son of Man is coming. So that must be the second coming of Christ. That's what they're going to say. All right, let's keep reading. Verse 29.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then, let me keep going.
Keep going.
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
All right, so many of our religious friends and neighbors are looking forward to a time when the sun is going to turn to blood and the moon is going to be darkened, and all of these things are going to happen. All of these things that you're reading there, that's what they're looking forward to. They're waiting on that to happen. Already happened. Is Jesus being literal that the stars are going to crash out of space and onto Earth?
According to ancient aliens on the History Channel.
Aliens. All right.
Your hair's not big enough.
Do I?
Your hair's
I know, I need to get that thing going. They're looking for this moment. They're wondering when that's going to happen. Verse 30. And then shall the Son of Man, or shall the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and there shall be tribes of and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn when they see the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven and power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch was yet tender, he put forth leaves. Ye know that the summer is nigh. So likewise, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. What does the very next verse say?
Assuredly, I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away till all these things take place.
Uh-oh. So if he's talking about the literal sun, there are still generations, people from that generation alive today. That would be a 2,000-year-old person. If he's literally talking about the sun turning to blood, or the moon going completely dark, or he's talking about the stars falling out of heaven, if he's talking about all of that in a literal sense, there are 2,000-year-old people walking around. But does this kind of word usage here, the sun being darkened, the moon being changed, does all that sound familiar? What was he talking about whenever he's talking about the sun being darkened, you're going to see the Son of Man coming, you're going to see destruction? What was he talking about?
Rome. The time of Rome.
What's he talking about here? In Matthew.
That was their first question. Answered their first question.
That's the answer to their first question. When are these things going to happen? The temple being what? Destroyed. So when he's using this kind of language, the sun's going to be destroyed, the moon's going to be destroyed, the stars are falling, he's talking about destruction of something. He's talking about something being utterly destroyed. Well, what was utterly destroyed in Matthew? What was he talking about? The temple. The temple. There won't be one stone left on top of the other, right? All right, so let's go back. Back to Revelation. So now we get back to Revelation. We see hail and fire falling. We see a great mountain burning with fire cast into the sea. Third angel sounded. great star fell from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and fell upon the third of the rivers and the fountains of the water. Another star, which is called wormwood, a third part of the waters became wormwood. Many men died of the waters because the water was made bitter. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was what? And the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was what? And the day shone not for the third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, what?
Whoa.
Woe, woe, woe. What is a woe?
Despair, heartbreak.
Despair, strife.
Despair, destruction, heartbreak, sadness, everything bad. When someone says woe, there is a woe coming. That is bad. That's never good. So woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet and the three angels which are yet to sound. So, is there going to be a lot of good on the horizon?
Is as a warning.
This is a warning. What are things going to be like? Let's look at history for just a moment. What happened to the world when Rome fell?
Shook things up. The power
Mhm.
structure.
Power structure?
Dark ages.
The dark.
Dark Ages? Who kind of took over at that point? No, not Hitler.
Hitler was like.
No, that's way after.
Mongols.
Yeah. There are different groups that started rising up. But when Rome fell, one particular group did not fall with it. And they had their fingers in every country with a leader, for the most part.
Persians.
Mhm. So what happened to Christians? If you're not, what happens? You die. So that part remained. Is there still a threat on Christianity even though Rome is gone? Mhm. Is there a threat to anyone that's not? I mean, it doesn't matter what you are. What happens to a person who gets caught in Constantinople that's not Catholic? What if you're Islamic? What are they going to do to you? No, they're not going to send you home. That'd be preferable.
Convert or die.
Convert or die. That's to everybody. So you have a lack of education. Many people won't be able to read or write. So guess what you can't get your hands on?
The Bible.
So you're not going to be studying a whole lot if you can't read. So what do you have to rely on?
Preaching.
You have to rely on what somebody tells you. Is that a good way to get your information?
Not usually.
Not usually. Not usually. Don't believe me? Watch the news.